As everything loads up, let's play around. Today is the last day. Well, everybody's coming in, everybody's filling in. Devon afternoons. April 2nd. I wanted everybody to know now, today is the last day. Today, between today and tomorrow, are the last days to sign up for the class, to sign up for Chakra and Shadow, the class that I'm launching August 8th. That means next Monday. Class I'm launching next Monday, Chakra and Shadow. We're going to be getting into the chakra system, the full aspect comprehension of the chakra systems, getting into the aspects of understanding your human design and getting into reflexology. As we're getting deeper, as we're building. Last week we got very, very deep into the aspects of emotional authority. The week before that, we got into that. Last week we got into emotional authority, real deep into emotional authority. The week before that, we got into the aspects of understanding, are you moving in disharmony, or are you moving in the aspects of moving in actual harmony with oneself? So last week, we got really deep into the aspects of the emotional authority. What emotions are leading you? And that wanted me to lead into this week. I want to get into you are what you eat. You are what you eat. You are what you eat. But a lot of times when we look at you are what you eat, most of us go into that space of, oh, you got to be vegan. Broccoli's going to save your life. And broccoli's going to save your life. And you got to eat like this. And you got to be like this. But a lot of times when we're looking at these things, we're looking for a new physical suppression. We're looking for, oh my God, that's huge. We're looking at what we're actually doing a lot of times when it comes to not understanding how our emotions work, because we try to keep them separate catalysts instead of understanding how they flow into the space. A lot of times when we're emotionally eating or we're feeding emotionally, we don't understand that the emotional feeding in itself, just you eating with your emotions, is an aspect of the spiritual aspect. That means with your higher self, that when we look into the aspects of who is the person that you're feeding, what element of, like when we talk about alternate realities, who's the person that you're feeding, what space that you're feeding, or when we get into the aspects of you, when you're opening up these gateways with yourself, like when you start I'm working with my energy centers, I'm working with my chakras, but you don't understand what energy center or portal that you're opening. So now all of a sudden, now you seem to be more hungry for a certain type of energy, for that certain type of energy, a certain type of food. We're not understanding that all of these come into, by the time it comes to the physical form, the physical manifestation is the reflex, is the echo of what you are eating. It's only the echo. I want you to understand this. It's only the echo. It's only the echo. Everything in the physical space is an echo of that spiritual space. This is why we don't look at how we aligning with ourselves. Everything is now, it's an echo or the reflex. It's the most condensed fraction, or that 10% of what we're actually ingesting. So it made me really start thinking about when I go into when I'm dealing with my clients, setting up classes, answering questions. My mindset is always going to be from a space of, I'm feeding the in-depth aspect in the most simplest form. That's why it can be taken in. But if I'm only used to the suppressive way of eating, that means there's a difference between my body ingesting and my body suppressing. There's a difference between my body ingesting and my body suppressing. See, a lot of times you keep coming into your space, grand rising. Before you come into your space, you have to realize that a lot of the things that I did from the survival complex, that means I was trying to stay in survival, I was trying to survive, I was basing it on survival, that was a suppressive complex. That was the suppression. That's the repressive narrative. That's when we get into the psychological aspects that I break down when I'm talking to my clients. That's when you're talking about, when we actually talk about emotional eating is not, okay, I eat based on my emotions. Emotional eating in its simplest form is everything that I'm doing and I'm consuming is based on my emotions. Everything that I'm consuming is based on emotion. But what emotion, what aspect am I feeding? Am I ingesting? Am I in a state of ingestion? That means I'm in that state of absorbing the food. I'm actually absorbing this information. Am I actually absorbing? Or am I just in a state of suppression? That means I'm constantly in a motion of trying to seek. I'm trying to seek the aspect of, I'm trying to feed myself so I can release something. The only way I'm giving up of this is, the only way I'm giving it up is the only way I'm putting it back in. And I keep making this motion with myself. So I really have to understand, am I really going through a state of ingestion? If I'm going through a state of ingestion, I got to understand that I'm only in a state of ingestion in my waking state. Am I am I in the ingestion phase? That's when I'm in my waking state. In my waking state is the only time that and then we get even deeper into it, the only time that your body is in a state of digestion, the digestion phase, the breaking things down is when you're in a resting state. And I've broken it down. We're going to get deeper into it during class next week. We're going to get deeper into it during class next week, when we go into the aspects of your body in this resting state is the only time that you're digesting anything. The only time that your body goes into a state of digestion or breaking anything down is in a resting state. But if we understand that since I'm always in survival mode, I'm never in a resting state. That means I got to keep going. I got to eat as I go. So naturally, what does my body naturally need? My body naturally needs stimulation. So most of the shit that you're doing inside of your space, in and out inside of your day that you're feeding on is based on stimulation. Man, I knew that. So now think about all these conversations that you have. Man, I knew that, or why didn't I think about that? And then you spend the entire day stimulated by that thought. You spend the entire day stimulated by that thought. You never let it go any deeper. You stay right there on the surface. It makes us really look at most of the time. Yep. It makes you look at most of the time when I was realizing with myself that in reality, a lot of the times when I was doing work, when I was doing my work, when I was doing what I was doing, moving how I was moving, speaking, thinking, learning myself, going through these processes. A lot of the times when I was inside of these spaces with myself, I really wasn't absorbing anything. I really wasn't learning anything. I wasn't learning anything and I wasn't absorbing anything. I wasn't allowing myself to actually gain it. I wasn't gaining any type of information. What I was really doing in reality was, and what I thought I was, what I really was only doing, I was stuck in a state of this stimulation protocol. Let me wake up. No, I'm not. Every time that I woke up, every time that I was moving to a certain space with myself, everything I was doing was to find suppression. I never wanted to actually take accountability, because accountability goes into the state of me actually digesting this information, me actually breaking down this information, me actually absorbing this information to come into a state of actual resolve. See, when we're stuck in that state of stimulation, when I was stuck in that state of stimulation all the time, I wasn't looking for a resolve. I was looking for problems. You would look for problems to match your, last week we got into the aspects of your skill set. So every problem that I had was I would look for problems that match my skill set. That way I could eat there. So basically, in reality, I was always looking for a problem, or I always never wanted a problem. I was used to using my skill set, how I fed myself based in survival. I was looking for a space to exploit. I was looking for a place to exploit. The suppressive dialogue that you stay within to feed yourself, you're always looking for a space to exploit. This is why you always think about it, and especially with the aspects of your energy, and I'm gonna break this down. In the aspects of your energy, when I'm really thinking about my energy, it's not so much about it being bad or good, negative or positive. It's about how can I use that? From the divine masculine sense, it's like, how can I use this? How do I, as me being in this space, what am I becoming as I'm inside of this space? It's not looking at it from the space of, oh my God, I got some good ass energy. Why? Because the moment that I define my energy is good, I got everybody around me that's dependent upon my energy. Everybody around me I can exploit to keep my energy a certain way. Everybody around me I can exhume, because when you're thinking about the suppressive narrative, it's always based on the aspects of enabling. It's not based on expansion. It's based on, it's always based on exhuming some shit. Think about it. Your shit's always based on exhuming some shit. You always are inside of a position where you always can bring something up. It's funny how, or every time you go over there with these people, it's always based on exhuming something. So every time you get information, it's only to exhume something. So you're only using the lower aspects of the laws. Or when we talk about the aspects of the laws of karma, because yes, there's 7 laws to karma, and you're stuck within the aspect of your efforts, you only getting based on your level of effort. You only getting based on your level of effort. You're only creating based on your skill set. So nothing that you're doing or nothing that you want to do, you want to take it high. You don't want to take it nowhere outside of that aspect. You want to stay at the level that you're at. You never want to go past a certain point. But here's the thing that we trick ourselves in stimulation, and then you look at these physical representations, then remember, because the physical world is no more than the reflex or the echo of what I'm eating emotionally. Everything is down here is based on energetics. The energetics gets translated into the psychological shit that you get stuck in, and you want to call the moment that you learn some shit, now everybody's a narcissist. The moment you learn the word narcissist, you use that for everything. You use that for everything. That was your new straw. That was your new fork, spoon, knife, plate, everything. That was your new stainless steel cooking ware that you cooked everything in. But in reality, exactly, you gotta take the accountability. But now you sitting in the space, now you're upset, like, but I don't understand how, because you feeding everything through the same portal. You want everything to go through that same point with yourself, so it makes you feel like, okay, cool, my skill set matters. Remember last week we talked about your skill set heavy, that emotional authority. You have no emotional authority. You don't want to take that authority over that feeling, because sitting with that feeling requires a different set of skills to be unlocked. It requires you to eat differently. It requires you to eat different food. Instead of but you want to, most people want to stay stuck on the plate. I always call it being stuck on the plate. You want to stay you want to keep saying that this person did this to you and that person did this to you and this and this happened. All this shit keep happening to me, and that's why my life is the way that it is. All I need is somebody. You're used to exploiting people. I can be honest with it. I used to do the same shit from an unhealed space. Guaranteed, bottom line, you were used to exploiting people. You kept telling everybody it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what shit you going through or what vice you've accumulated. Because in reality, as you're looking at the aspects of their vice, you're looking at something, can my skill set feed this vice? If they're an alcoholic, they smoke too much, they fucking all the time, you're looking for, what we actually look for is the vice or the stimulant. Can I deal with their vice? Can I deal with them being an alcoholic? Can I deal with them being a smoker? Can I deal with them being this? Can I deal with their fetishes can I deal with these things? So that's the deepest that you go inside of a space. That's the deepest that you go into the box. So imagine it like you going into the grocery store. Imagine going to the grocery store and not looking at what time you go to the grocery store. When we think about the aspects, and I dropped that video yesterday about this, the 30-day checkup, think about it like this. Think about it like this. Are you looking for convenience? Or are you actually looking for are you looking for convenience? Or are you actually looking for cultivation? Are you looking for convenience? Or are you looking for cultivation? Something that's going to exact change. Because the change regardless, and we should know this, the change regardless, change is inevitable. It's going to happen with or without you. If you sitting right here, right now, and you said 4 months ago that you were going to do something 4 months ago, and you still haven't done it, the only thing that changed, everything around you changed except for you, and now you still holding on to the same feeling. Now, your idea about it, this is how we look for convenience. The difference between convenience and actual cultivation is going past that point of that feeling. Sitting with that feeling that we're steady using to consume. If I'm looking for convenience a lot of the time in my environment, when I was looking for convenience, it was a false sense of free will because I had the choice. I can do what I want. But in reality, I wasn't doing what I wanted. I was doing what I could. I was doing what I could. I was able to exploit something inside of that space. So my independence, my being a real one, me being a real nigga, me being all of these aspects, and when you're seeing people act in a certain way, was always based upon an exploitation. There was something that I can exploit. Because exploitation is on the same line or the same axiom point as being an advocate. They're the same thing. Two sides of the same coin. See, a lot of times when you're sitting there, you're trying to make this side this way. No, exploitation is the same thing as being an advocate. They're just doing it from you're trying to separate and validate different reasons, but they're doing it for the same shit. The exploiters in the aspects of convenience, and the advocate is in the same aspects of the same conveniences. That's why they can't come together. See, when you're inside of your space, you don't understand that the reason you can't come together on certain things is because it's the same point. It's the same emotional point that you keep bouncing off of. You keep trying to use the same aspects that you used. You keep trying to use that same skill set that you used back then. Why? Because you got used to the convenience of the access. A lot of times I was getting stuck on the convenience of that access. That means if I had access to a certain person, certain relationship, certain job, I'm stuck within that space because I'm avoiding accountability. I'm avoiding accountability at all costs. Because I want you to think about an example of how it physically comes to the physical world. Let's say you sitting there at your job and one of your people want to get hired on. And you know this motherfucker ain't worth shit. You know they are not the best person to actually bring in to do a job with. You know they're not the best to go into that job. The first thing that you'll say is like, nah, this ain't your speed. I ain't gonna put my name on you because I know how you are. Have you taken that further? Have you taken that further? If this person is this way at this job, and I know this job is not suitable for them because I know how they are, or I know of them, and it's that bad to where I would not put my name on it, why is it in my space? Why is it in my space? What is its actual purpose? See, we always look for this. What is this actual purpose? What is this person, this person, this place, this things? What is this actual purpose? Because as you are leveling up your mindset, that's when you start looking at things like, use an example. If you're looking at somebody, you're like, yo, why everybody can't come? Everybody can't go. Everybody can't go. And you can't wrap your head around everybody can't go, and motherfuckers are naturally gonna fall off. The reason why is because their energetic frequency is not at that point. They can't go there. They can't go to that space. They're not meant for that level. But you will get stuck in the convenience. What it boils down to was always convenience. I know since that motherfucker didn't have a job, I can call them any given time and they gonna answer the phone. As long as they didn't have a job or they didn't have a place they didn't have some shit, I could call them and it would feed my rejection wounds. It would feed my thoughts of being rejected. It would feed my emotional wound. So since they fed my emotional wound and they were always conveniently feeding my emotional wound, I can pay them, or I always can give them something and they'll think it's the best thing ever, but in reality it's to keep them where they're at because I'm stuck where I'm at. I don't want to level up. I don't want to grow. I don't feel the need to grow. I don't feel the fucking need to grow. I feel like I've done everything and I ain't got to do shit else. I can just keep doing, because you're exploiting them. That's why you get tricked. Remember, everything that you get triggered by in the external physical realm is a reflex. The deeper that reflex or the deeper that echo connects to you, it shows you exactly where you're feeding from. If you're feeding from it or you're getting fed off, if you're getting fed from it. Remember, last week we got into the emotional authority. A lot of you are still calling yourselves angry when in really your body's destined to anguish. But let's get into the aspect. Let's just get deeper into the aspect. There's 3 phases to your body breaking down anything. The ingestion phase, the digestion phase, the actual ingestion phase, the digestion phase, and the fasting phase. Your body naturally goes through the detox or the fasting phase. If you're eating in, remember, since you've been here because of all of the buildup, everything that got thrown down on top of you, suppressed on top of you, and this also goes into the aspects of why this shit is not a one and done. You got to continue. You're never going to be all the way healed because you got to keep, every time you go to another level, there's a whole nother layer of shit that you got to go through. There's a whole nother layer of shit that you got to evolve through. The healing process changes. The healing process changes. But you have your detoxing phase. The ingestion period is when you're awake. Your detox phase is your programming phase. You program yourself in your detoxing phase. You program yourself in your detoxing phase. Think about every time you went for a every time you detoxed or fasted. Oh my God, I'm never eating this again. You're reprogramming the subconscious. Then you go into your ingestion phase, which is your waking phase, or the alpha wave state. We're gonna get deep into that state, or the alpha wave state. And then when you're going through your states of digestion, because remember the shit goes as above, so below. The shit cycles up, goes all the way back down. It's a whole cycle. So by the time I'm in my ingestion phase, I'm in the 3 phases of the day. I'm in the 3 phases of the day. The beta wave, 1, 2, and 3. There's 3 beta waves. So my body's now activating on each one of these waves, and with each one of these waves, awareness, application, adaptation. So if I wake up early as fuck in the morning, if I wake up early as fuck, I wake up 4 a.m. I wake up 4 a.m. From 4 a.m. to 4:30, body scan, sitting there having a nice self-reflection with myself, allowing myself to come back online. By 5 o'clock, that's workout, that's meditation time. From 5 to 5:30, that's workout time. So that's my workout. So now I'm in the first physical form. Because now when I first wake up, I'm in the theta state. I'm coming out of the delta wave. I'm coming out of the delta state, and I'm coming into the theta state. I went into the program state, now I'm coming back out of the programming state. So now I'm in the program state. No external food, none of that shit. I don't drink water until usually after my meditations. That's depending on if I drink water throughout the night. So by the time I'm in that alpha state, my alpha state or my alert state, my awareness state, that's at the end of my meditation. Like, for example, when I woke up this morning, I was doing my meditation, I felt really, 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 really anxious. I was feeling really, really anxious. Oh, I want to move. I got to do this. I had to identify that. I identified it in that moment. I was like, wait, what did I do yesterday that was not like today at this time? Wait, this time yesterday when I woke up, I meditated earlier, and then I went outside and I went and trimmed hedges, and I went and did yard work, and I did some yard work. So my energy level spiked at this point. I'm still in my self-reflection. I'm now analyzing my day, analyzing myself, so I don't go feed this in a wild manner of sense. See, this is a lot of times when you're not understanding coming into the detox phase. You've been out of sync your entire time. You don't understand. That's the detox phase or the dumping phase. That's everything being dumped off. That's everything being released that needed to be released into the body. That's why they say I always go into that aspect when you're working out, the best time to work out's in the morning, because that's when your body's in a big ass dump site. Your body, as long as you're drinking water and your body's in an alkaline state, that means it's not in the acidic state. We don't get deep into that. That's the next point. When you're in the alkaline state, it will do clean dumps. Your body will cleanly dump everything. It will release everything for you. It releases it all clear, like boom, it's all released. When you're unable to naturally function inside of a detox, when you're going through this emotional process, and you're now detoxing yourself, and you find yourself stopped up, you find yourself overly anxious, you find yourself irritable, you find all these emotions coming to the surface, it's letting you know that what you've been feeding on, everything that you started your day with. How do you usually start your day? How do you usually start your day? If I'm starting my day every day on Facebook, for an example, let's use an example like that. Me, I don't interact with anybody for about 4.5 hours. That means if you hit me up before 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you're not going to get a reply from me. Your reply will come after 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's my time of my detox. I'm not taking in any stimulation beforehand. Anything that is not necessary beforehand. So now I'm sitting in that space, but when I am in that space, now I'm engaging. So that's when I'm usually making posts. That's usually when I'm making posts. I recorded a TikTok video, recorded the video, breaking down videos. I'm making posts to my stories. I'm doing things of that nature. But to get to that process, this is the key when we're going through the eating, going through these phases. To get to that process, I actually had to allow the detox to happen. Because my first detoxes with my emotions and getting my emotions in order and checking my emotions and before even getting to this point, a lot of bullshit was coming up. And this is where we get stuck on, because we're like, I just want my life to change. All the bullshit got to come up first. You know, you didn't ate over 20, 30, you didn't ate 15 to 20 years. You've eaten 15 to 20 fucking plus years of food that you had in the aspects of category of compartmentalizing your day. You compartmentalize your day just by off the reflection of how you ate. So if you felt like every morning when you woke up for school that I had to eat breakfast, you carried that program over as a compartmentalized factor. It wasn't what you ate. It wasn't when you ate. It was more on the aspects of how you consumed it. So when we're thinking about our emotional energy, we're not looking at how we're consuming things, why we consume that. Why do we feel the need to consume that? And if you stay long enough inside of that space, then that becomes a part of now you created an identity around it. This is what I've always been. This is what I do. This is what I've always been. So now you stifle yourself because now you stuck in a skill set that was only meant for that moment of time. Because since you're only you, and this is when we get into the aspects of high conflict, you're used to conflict, and you're used to fights, and you're used to being in high conflict situations, you're used to misplaced aggression, you're used to high conflict situations, you're used to controlling things based on their vices and their exploiting vices. You're used to doing it that way. So when you feed, you thought you're still feeding those same neurological pathways. You're still feeding those same demons. So then when it goes into the spiritual aspect, that's why when you're attracting these deities into your space or these principles of yourself into your space, you always looking at them from their lower. You always try to look at them, you're looking at yourself. So you're trying to validate everything. This is why we get into the aspects of when my ancestors are upset with me. Because you're upset with yourself. That's what you're echoing. As above, so below, as within, as without. That's what you're echoing. So everything that you attract from the higher aspects or the lower aspects is you in this alternate space that needs to feed that reality. So you're literally eating. It started in the spiritual aspect before it even by the time it's physical, it's a fucking byproduct. It's the byproduct. That's all it is in a physical form. All it is a byproduct. It's the byproduct. It's the reflex. You smoke based off of you feeling the need to do certain things is a reflex. It's a reflex or the reflection of something from from a version of yourself. But if I'm not actively, and then when you get into if I'm not actively going through the detox phase of my day, I'm not actually understanding that as long as I'm awake, I'm in an ingestion state, then I'll think I'll get stuck in the suppressive narrative and then digestion. I'll think that everything that I eat, I'm digesting in that moment. So since I'm thinking that everything I digest, everything that I eat or I take in has to be digested in that moment, look at how else that affects my life. Look how that affects my cycles inside of my life. Everything has to follow that same cadence. Everything follows that same rhythm. Remember, my cadence is off because of trauma. So everything that follows that same rhythm. So now every time that I'm outside, I'm following the same rhythm. So now the way that I work, the way that I fuck, the way that I eat, everything that I do follows that same rhythm. The way that I acquire friendships follows that same rhythm. It follows that same rhythm that creates an accordance to that rhythm. So now I got multiple streams of myself. Now this is how I created the multiple streams of thought or when I access the multiverse of realities of myself and where I'm at. I was already doing it. You've been doing that shit's been on autopilot the entire time. But when you started taking the accountability, I want to heal. I want to be conscious. I want to be a God. I'm a God. I'm this. You had to accept that, okay, cool. That means I did all of this. Either I directly or I indirectly had my hand in this. Either I was doing it directly or indirectly, I created this space. I created that said form. In some way, shape, or form, that's what I was doing. Because if I'm not accepting that I did this, then I got to put it off on somebody. So now, in order for that to happen, I got to put it off on somebody. I got to exploit something. Something has to be exploited so I can, because what I'm telling my body is I can't absorb it or I can't resolve it. Because when we look at the aspects of absorbing and resolve, you only can absorb as much as you are resolved, as much as you are empty. So when you think about you eating till you're full or eating in the convenience of being full because you've never eaten before, and you look at the physical representations of the moment that as soon as you go get your paycheck, you go get that money from the scarcity mindset we talked about last week, you stuck in the scarcity mindset, you automatically want to get all dressed up and you want to go to the store and do nothing. You automatically want to get dressed up and go to the store. But what if I don't go to the store? What if I hop on Amazon? As soon as that paycheck hits your shit, you want to go spend that money on Amazon for the convenience. I've been wanting this for a long time. Why did you need it? Why did you want it? See, we never want to ask ourselves the true aspects of why do we feel that we needed that aspect? What does the version of that person, that entity, that energy that I'm trying to become, what does that person look like? What do they smell like? What do they feel like? Remember, it takes all 5 senses being online in order to manifest something into the physical. All 5 points, the 5 senses, the 5 points, it takes all those got to be online for you to manifest things into your life. But if you're used to feeding off of what we call the infatuation, the feeling, the intensity of the want and the need, you're always going to bring something into your space because it fits the psychological shit where you compartmentalize your life. So you can have happiness with these people over here. These people over here aren't shit. These people are the people that I work for. These are the people that I do this for. And you got a whole fucking compartment. You got 5 compartments in front of you. And as long as everything is maintained in those 5 compartments and they need an aspect of you, whether they need you to acknowledge something, the masculine energy of the spark, or they need you to be recessive of what they're doing, the feminine essence or the feminine essence or what magnifies it. As long as that is present inside of your environment, you're not changing. As long as everybody in your space need you for some shit, you won't change. Because in every reality, all you see yourself as, I don't see myself doing that. I've never seen myself doing that yet. So you automatically put the limitation on yourself. So as long as you're staying inside of this space, remember what I said earlier in the beginning of this, that compressed light, that condensed light, the compression itself, that compression, it needs a lot of energy. Compression needs a lot of energy. To compress something, it requires a lot more energy. Compression or the force, to have something in force, to compress it, to later to exhume or extract something from it, takes a lot of energy. You're used to extracting or exhuming or extracting from shit. You're used to pulling shit from shit and using it. The consumption monologue, the convenience of being able to consume. But when it comes to the process of actually ingesting, processing, the actual aspects of actually eating Eating to actually live is based on expansion. It's based on expansion. It's based on it's actually conceptualized of expansion. It's based on the actual aspects of growth. So now when you're sitting in a space, that's why you'll sit there and listen to somebody be like, oh my God, they're filling up my space with so many feelings and emotions. I never thought about life that way. And you'll go there the same time every day. It's not because of what you got there. It's because of the energetic rhythm that's under it. See, I had to really start looking at certain things and how certain people went to certain spaces and what they actually were looking for. And that took me into aspects of looking how I compartmentalized my life. Why certain people said certain things or did certain things or went about certain things inside of my life. Why certain people were involved in certain spaces of my life and other people weren't. Why when certain people came around and other people didn't. And that's the human aspect. Instead of me getting stuck on, oh, they narcissists and they, no. It's really understanding what the fuck they're really feeding. There's a reason that they're there. Even in the aspect of that friend, that family member, the friend and the family member that you ain't talked to in fucking years, months, days, years, whatever, they're still on your mind because every time somebody brings them up, you have nothing to say about them, that you have nothing that you can say about them that's in a state of being in an uplifting current, or from a state of respect. You can't say nothing about them respectful because you still need them. You looking back at baby father, baby daddy, baby mom, whoever, whatever role that, because that's not who that person was. That was the role that you tried to make them play in your life. Ultimately, you wanted them to play a certain role and they didn't fit your skill set for that role. So then you got mad. So you're still calling them by that. That ain't even them. That's why you can get upset as soon as a motherfucker say, oh, yo, that's why you can get upset. Oh my God, after 2.5 weeks, they did this, this, and this, and they doing all this. They didn't do that type of shit. We didn't do that type of shit together. Your skill set wasn't meant for that. The energy that you were bringing into the space wasn't meant to be you weren't digesting. You didn't digest what was needed to be digested. You didn't eat you were not eating the food that needed to be eaten. That you were not eating the food that was meant for that level. You weren't, your appetite, your palate was, you had a lower, you had a survival complex palate. You were eating based on survival. You thought you sitting in there, you being able to eat whatever the fuck you want. You thought eating what you could when you could was the same as eating what you wanted. You thought eating until you were full was the same as eating to be satisfied, or eating the aspects to live to be satisfied. So your skill set was developed based on that. I had to really look at my skill set, how I was thinking, how I was moving. I was like, yo, I'm legit eating and consuming based out of fear. But it's deeper than that. I'm eating based on rejection. I'm eating based on these emotional catalysts. But am I eating or am I responding based on the reflex? I'm angry, so I should do this. The moment that I say that I'm angry and I'm not really angry, my anger constitutes to something, then I have to do what the hell I'm supposed to do as I'm angry. If I don't do it in some way, shape, or form, I need that to be filled. I need that to be suppressed. So that's when you'll go sit there and you'll go watch 19 movies. You'll go watch every movie, listen to every fucking song, because this is how you attracted to your space. You listen to 9 different fucking songs, talk about busting a window out some nigga car, or you being some nigga dad, mom, or some other shit, or you being some woman's father, or these bitches ain't shit, or you'll go into a state of gender biases, because that's what we go into, a state of that state of bias, battle of the sexes, things of that nature. Everything is based on what you consume. Everything down here is based on what you need to live, what you consume. It's not based on whether you consume it or not. It's going to be based on the emotions that you pour into it. Whether you looking at the church up the street, I would never go to the church because they lying about Jesus. You admitting that you need it, just like the motherfucker that says, I can't believe my life, I can't see my life without Jesus. You're doing the same, you're eating the same shit. You're both eating from the same fucking plate. You just want your side of the plate to look a little, you eating from the same side of the plate. You done been in every relationship and all these motherfuckers was on drugs and all this other shit, but your skill set paid for their vice. And when you get deeper into the aspects, you look at your life and you go back, when we go back, do past life regressions, and we go back and look into your life, you're looking at how that even came up anywhere. You've always been a supplier. You were born to suppliers. Your actual emotional, your actual energetic motion was you were a supplier. You were a supplier of energy. That was what your void was. And until you accept that you were a supplier and the way that you were supplying things, you ain't going nowhere. Or your aspect, you came down and energetically you were an extortion. You were an extortionist or an exporter. See, all of these things, all of these codes line up energetically and they become the physical space. You wonder why everybody around you is a user and they all addicted, they're always highly addicted to shit. That's your energy. What is the actual aspects of that frequency? You have to identify with it first. Or you just gonna keep doing what you've been doing. But everybody around me needs something. That's not your job to give it to them. You have to be honest with yourself inside of your space and when you're building and why you're building it through your emotional authority. You have to be honest with why you are building certain aspects. It gets very, very cold when you walk into the aspects of, if your resolve, I was actually having this conversation earlier, if I understand that as the psychotherapist, that if I uncover something within one of my clients, that I have to accept, I'm already accepting of it, that they might have a downward spiral after we uncover that. And they may come to me 3-4 more fucking times after that and keep bringing that same point up. But I'm not there to be irritated because I understand that's a part of the process. I understand that that's a part of the process. In that same sense, I can look at somebody and tell you when they're skipping over steps. I can tell you when you stuck. I can tell you when you're not stuck. But for me, in the position that I'm in now with myself and my purpose and my mission, that's not my job. This isn't a job for me. I live this way. So that feeling of trying to control certainty had to go away. Because I don't consume the same way. When you're consuming based on the narrative of everybody got to be a certain way for you to eat and to exist in that space, you consume based on control and certainty. So you automatically slip into an exploitive, exploitive or a manipulative mindset. Automatically you slip into that stream. Manipulation isn't bad. Exploiting something isn't bad. It's in the degree in which you're using it. I exploit the sun. I'm exploiting my camera right the fuck now for its ability. The thing that gets you stuck in exploitation, stuck within the lower levels of manipulation, is you're trying to do it from a possessive state. That means you're trying to make it do something that it's not meant to do. You're taking it out of it. You're taking it out of its natural sequence. See, a lot of times when we get in those space, you getting upset with these people. You taking motherfuckers out of a natural sequence. I just want a man to take care of me. I just want this person to take care of me. You're taking them out of their natural sequence. Because if you leave them in their natural sequence and you've seen what they're doing, you'll see the actual truth that you need to see inside of that space. You'll actually see what you need. Oh, I like that. You're actually sitting inside of that space with yourself and you're like, oh my God, my life is supposed to be a certain way. No, that's why you keep doing that shit. You keep wanting to move in the same, you keep trying to move outside, you're moving outside of your cadence. So the only way that you see everybody is outside of their cadence. This is what I mean by situations breed situations. You can't go from a situation to a relationship. It don't work that way. You must resolve the situation. You must resolve the roots to the situation, or all you're going to get is the same. You might get the same situation in a different body, or you might get the different situation in the same body. That means it might be a whole same person, different situation, or it can be. You feel me? That's how you're seeing things down here. The law of even exchange. Your aspects of how you're creating your space based on how you feel. These laws going into the laws of karma. I made that post the other day. It's a video on my thing. The actual laws of karma. The aspects of creation, your efforts. The reason that you keep getting the same things that you're getting because you keep feeding through the same. You're feeding in order to serve the same efforts. And then you're like, oh my God, my life should be better. Or these people should do this. Why? Why? These are the things that we break down in sessions all the time. These are the things I'm breaking down with my clients all the time in sessions. These are the things that I really had to start sitting. When you're really starting to sit there with yourself, you stop going past. You have to go past what is going to become rudimentary. All the information that you get in the beginning of your consciousness, your spirituality, you waking up, all of that links to something. But if I'm not actively doing the active linking to it, like use an example. For me, being the aspect, like if someone comes to me and we're realigning, we're doing chakra alignment, realigning their chakras, realigning their energy. It might take us 6 weeks to work on their root chakra. It might take us 6 weeks to work on their root chakra. It might take 3 days. It might take 6 weeks, on and off, to work on their root chakra. Because not only on the surface of I can say the root chakra is based on grounding, your grounding, where your balance, your grounding, things of that, the grounding in your balance, the roots. Now we got to look at, now we got to look at what in your environment, because all I'm doing is pulling something to the surface. When I'm realigning your energy in your chakra system, and I'm realigning this energy with you, all I'm doing is bringing it to the surface. Everything that comes up after that, that's the shit we have to discuss. Because those are the feelings. Those are the things, that's what you've been feeding off of. That's what you've been using that's what you've been using in your state of ingestion in your waking days. That's that you've been suppressively eating. So you haven't even came into a state of ketosis. So this is why, use the example, this is why a lot of times when you take in new information, you're so quick to give it away because you're not used to the state of ketosis of using where you're at. Remember, we talked about it the last 2 weeks. The aspects of truly being present is would be the equivalent to the state of ketosis. That means your body's literally feeding off of feeding off of the system that's in play, the overflow of your actual system that you've been charging. So if I have bad grounding, bad roots, bad grounding, my mind's all over the place, I'm tethered to so many things emotionally. See how now I understand, damn, I'm rooted to this, but it's actually tethered because of said emotions, my anxiety, my fear of being alone. So my confidence was now when I'm going up, as I'm working on the root chakra, now it leads up to the solar plex, the solar chakra. And I'm like, so my confidence was always based in conquering the convenience of conquering conquering people or somebody wanting me. So now I'm working in now the process of healing the root chakra actually can commence. It's not gonna be, hey, lay here, I'm gonna hit you with this sound, I'm gonna hit you with this sound bath, I'm gonna put you under, and we're gonna bring you up to the surface, and now you're good. No, it's a process. It's an actual process. But see, we got stuck in the aspects of the convenience. To be fed, to be full. Not the aspect of actually healing it up. Uh-huh. Because you're not used to the aspect of energy. Like, there's so many things I had to learn about my energy, just in the sense, just like exactly with the aspects I check. I didn't like motherfuckers touching my hair. And I remember I was looking like, I didn't like people touching my hair, people touching me, people being around me, all because, but I didn't understand that in reality, me thinking I'm protecting my energy, I'm actually warding off exactly, I'm actually projecting. I'm actually projecting my thoughts into the environment. So I don't want nobody to touch me. I don't want nobody to touch me. I don't want nobody to touch me. I'm actually projecting into my environment why I don't want motherfuckers to touch me. Everything from the most minute reason to the most extreme reason. And I'm going to get those reasons inside of my environment, either directly or indirectly. You look on my page and you've seen the aspects for the shirt for the aspects of Lord Hahnemann. That's me understanding what the fuck monkeypox is and all the other sex of the diseases and shit. But as you're going through your process, you got to really be like, oh shit, nigga, I have been lying to myself. So I've been in this regimen for so long that I feel that I can do, there's a psychological aspect to it. Whenever I'm breaking down to my clients before we get into a reading, whenever I'm working with my clients, that's the main thing that I'm always going to be breaking down. When it comes to me working with my clients and me breaking shit down with my clients, it's always from the aspect in the space of me actually breaking down the process into the psychological that comes into the emotional, comes into the physical. You're not eating with your emotions. Your emotions are being, you're not so much eating with your emotions. Uh-huh. Yes, exactly. But in order to raise the energy of consciousness inside of a space, I have to understand exactly as you said it. When I'm sitting there with myself in the aspect of space, naturally my energy, naturally my energy is naturally I'm going to create those spaces. I now naturally can create that space. A lot of times when we're changing ourselves and we're developing ourselves, we're going to it just because of the survival complex. We haven't stepped out of the survival complex. Now we're trying to be of servitude to other people's emotions. Because all I'm doing now, I'm going to become a feeding center. I haven't created a space. You know what I'm saying? I haven't created a space. Me now, if you were to come to me, like, let's use an example. If you were to come to me 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 8 years ago, when I was coming into my healing process and learning myself, going through my homelessness, all of these stories are in the lectures on my YouTube channel. You couldn't tell me the things that I'm doing now. I couldn't see what I am now. Now it's like and this is where you got to fight the infatuation, because a lot of times, especially when it comes to shadow work, inner child healing, adolescent healing, the actual healing process, that is very new to us. In the collective sense, that is still very new to us. The actual healing process, the actual shadow work process, the actual psychological process is very, very new to us. It's new to us. When I actually started Godico Alchemist, started my brand, doing Godico Alchemist, really getting into aspects of shadow work, getting into spiritual warfare, really getting into these concepts of shit. The reason I used to get frustrated because every time I looked up information about shadow work, it was either some extra mystical ass reason, or it was some basic one piece of paper. It was like, here's some shadow work prompts. It was never an in-depth process. It was never really sitting with it psychologically. But then I thought about it and I looked at it from outside looking in, being the observer, being the observer inside of that space. Before I do that reading, being the observer, I'm like, wait, if you look at the space, a lot of this shit is based on still staying separated. A lot of this shit is still based on being separated from yourself. A lot of these things is still got to stay separated from it. We're still treating, like, think about things we get stuck in. This is the thing. The hardest thing, that is the hardest thing about letting go of your ego. It's not even with something like that. That you said that. In the aspects of me letting go of my ego, it wasn't so much letting go of my ego like, oh my God, I'm letting go of my inner child. It was letting go of the identity I gave my ego. It was letting go of the identity that I gave my ego. I say this a lot of times. I'm actually going to make a shirt for it. Your ego is a horrible fucking boss. Your ego is a horrible fucking employer. It's a horrible fucking boss. It's a horrible fucking boss, but it is an excellent manager. It is an excellent employee. When we come into your emotional authority, you taking control of your emotions, your higher self, you integrating with your emotions, your shadow self, and you come in, your ego plays as the employer. My ego sits in it, okay, hey, ego. Like, use an example. I send my ego, if I don't feel like me in the physical form, I know I don't like typing shit. I know I don't like typing shit. I hate typing. I can write shit out all day. I can scribe shit all day. Automatic write all day. But when it comes to typing, I hate typing. Unless it's on my phone, that made it a little bit easier. But sitting down and typing, I hate typing. But there's a version of me. There is a version of me that all that nigga does all day is type. All he does all day is type up paperwork. Different fonts and different things that's all he does is type up long paragraphs and all that shit. That's the version I'll be like, yo, ego, go get my typist. Go get the version of me go get the skill set of me that's a typist. My ego can go get that version of myself without fear of losing himself. See, when you're stuck in the lower aspects of yourself, you have a fear of losing. You have a fear of dying. You have a fear of stepping into that death phase, going actually through that transition. You have a fear of losing something. But if I lose this, then I'll never have it again. All you're coming down here is to collect information anyway. It's the same reason why you mad. It's the same reason you mad at your kids, i.e. the white people. They're your custodians. All they do is collect information. The only reason that you're truly upset we get upset with a lot of things, and we get deeper into this. You're upset with a lot of things because you haven't learned how to use it. You can't imagine it outside of, you can't imagine it. You cannot imagine yourself without the sacrifice. Sacrifice to you or death to you is the end. Death to you is the end. I can't eat no more. I can't sleep no more. I can't do anything no more. So you think everything has to lead to a sacrifice. Don't believe me? Everything you think is based on an end. So you get stuck on, if I let go of this, then it's end. I don't have anything anymore. When it's in reverse, that's the reverse. That is the reflex. Because it becomes whatever the fuck you said it was. You stuck on that physical. The physical in order to maintain the physical, it has a skill set that's based on the lower levels of yourself. So I need the lower levels of myself to stay in play. So guess what? I can't take accountability. My ego is going to play in there. My ego will work that out for me. My ego, the identity that my ego is going to produce is going to keep that going. So now I don't want to let go of that. But when we talk about the high value system, you coming into higher levels of thought, you actually doing the fucking work, you actually allowing yourself to shift and go through the healing process, and you like, nigga, damn, I'm actually going through the healing process, it changed everything. Because it's supposed to. The changes, it's your options. What options are you taking from the changes? How are you seeing it? How are you speaking about it? I didn't even realize how detrimental a lot of my speech was. No problem, no problem. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. But I'm inside of a space with myself. Let me see. Let me learn how to do this right now, guys. We're learning together. 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 Ah, I don't know how to do this. But yeah, when you're making yourself inside of your space, I'm putting a comment up here now for this. Boom. Ta-da, did it go up there? Yep. While we sitting here letting this build up, this is our Q&A period. I'm also doing live readings. The live readings are donation based. Donate what you feel. Long as they donate what you feel, no lower than $3. We actually got a set of precedents on that. But when we're going into these spaces with ourselves, much gratitude for that. As we're going into these aspects with ourselves, we have to stop looking for surface level information. One of my biggest things as the Godical alchemist, the occult therapist, is understanding that process. My whole purpose, my whole mission, one of my missions is to challenge your perspective and help you creating a space. My spaces that I create for myself are self-healing. What you understand is the spaces that I've created for myself are self-healing. Everything that you create from is always going to be a reflection of you. So if you're in a healing state, you're going to create things that are going to be based on the need to heal. When you come into a self-healing state, i.e., when I come into a self-healing state, everything is based on my intentions and how I've set them. I made the video yesterday. It's on my it's 5 parts, and I was talking about the aspects of how you're manifesting things into your space. We're gonna get deep into that energy, get deep into that work Monday. Today's the last day to sign up for the class. Inbox me, hit me in the DM. The class is $45. It's $45. I got a couple spots. I'm gonna do it $45. Hit me in the inbox and we can set that up. We can set you up into the class, email address, and all that good shit. Go to the site. You're gonna pay the full amount. I'm changing it up like that. But I have to understand that everything that I'm doing now is being fed or feeding. Where is it feeding from? A lot of times we get stuck in these spaces with ourselves where you're looking at the last 30 days of your life. What did you do the last 30 days? What did you do the last 30 days? It ain't so much about the what. It's what was it attaining to? Was it based on setting intentions? You set intentions every day that you wake up. But were you rooting and grounding your intentions in this first 30 days? So the next 30 days is the work based on the work in cultivating and creating the space of those intentions. So by the time you get to month 3 or the day 90, everything that you did, every day that's done in that last 30 days is for feeding the first 30 days. And everything that I did in that second 30 days is going to feed the 30 days after that 90 days. See, when you're inside of your sequence, when we're moving inside of our sequence, moving inside of that space inside of your sequence, you start to understand how you eat within that rhythm. That's why you can use everything, like use for an example, using the Dr. Sebi chart. We know we've all seen that chart. Uh-huh. And then you sitting there in that space and you eating inside of that cycle. Exactly, the 3 6 like the 369 aspect. Three times in the 369 aspect. But in that aspect of really understand, even with that, me understanding what that was actually a disciplining process. It was less about, in order for it to really work, with a lot of these processes, when they say set it and forget it, it's literally that. It's until it becomes normal. Because I do the 369 process automatically, don't even know what the fuck I'm doing anymore. Sometimes I'm writing shit down 3 or 4 times. Sometimes I'm writing down shit 3 or 4 times and not even realizing that I wrote it down 3 or 4 times because it's implemented it's a new program in my subconscious. So everything that I'm doing is to keep that, is to establish, to cultivate that program. But in order for me to get to that point, I have to remove the old programs. That's why a lot of times you'll get fucked up all the fucking time. Think about it. If I gave you a book on numerology right the fuck now, and all you've been doing is trying to find out new number workouts for lottery picks. The moment that you get any information, since you're not used to letting it set, and you're used to the suppression or the compressing information or exhuming or extracting, you'll use that book, you'll read it, you'll get excited, you'll feel about it, you're only gonna look through it through the lenses of you doing number workouts. So you're gonna limit yourself automatically. So all you've done is you've extracted to replace inside of a space without changing the environment. This is why a lot of that shit, the motherfuckers be, man, my life ain't coming together the way I want it to come together. The reason your life ain't coming together the way that you want it to is because you're not changing anything. New actions you create. If you're not getting new results and you're only getting the same old actions, check what you're getting. Check what you're getting. Even in the aspect of looking at your space. Today, for example, when I woke up this morning after I meditated, did my workout and all my shit, today felt so fucking great. I was in abundance. After I did my first of the month ritual, blew salt out and blew cinnamon in to my front door, and I was able to walk into the kitchen, grab a bowl, put some cantaloupe in it, and I was able to walk outside at 8 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock, walk outside in the grass while eating cantaloupe. There's a version of myself that's always on an island or on an island scene or in this garden space doing just that. If I didn't sit with that thought process of that action, I wouldn't be able to embrace that. I wouldn't be able to embrace that energy. The energy comes from somewhere. It just don't come out of nowhere. The energy, the emotions don't come from oh my God, I just started feeling bad. No, it's buildup. We're used to moving based off of buildup. You being upset all the time. You being mad all the time. You're used to moving a certain way based on exploiting certain energies. That's why when you become aware, someone says they're aware to me, I'm conscious. What are you aware of? What are you aware of? I'm aware that they keep going deeper. I'm aware that it's their fault. Keep going deeper. Because when I really got to that point with myself, and we just allowed it to run over, when I went into that point with myself, it changed everything in that narrative. And then I had to act accordingly. That's why I always break down that healing process: acknowledgement, acceptance, the apology and the assessment, the reassessment, because understanding that this healing shit is destructive. But before we get out of here, I'm gonna do a collective reading, nice little collective reading. If you desire a reading, desire setting up an appointment with me for any of my services, from shadow work consultations, any of my readings, any of my other services, in my bio is my website link, is a link to my website. Or you can hit me up in the inbox after I sign off here. Hit me up in the inbox. We can start that dialogue. We start that dialogue. Get you set up today. Because all I desire you is to be the motherfucking best. Let me read this. What is hard about being around energy vampires in this world? What's hard about being around energy vampires in this world? Silence and love. The law of one help. Yep. Yeah. When we think about, especially like with people that are siphoning your energy, by definition of what people will say on the light side of what an energy vampire is, everybody's a fucking vampire. Everybody's a fucking vampire. But when we really start thinking about what's being taken away from me, if I'm always focused on what's being taken away from me, then what would I attract? If I'm always focused on my energy being taken away from me, it's similar to like Baba C. Freeman L. used to say all the time. If I'm always thinking about getting robbed, I'm going to manifest situations and places and spaces where I'm going to get robbed. If I'm always thinking about getting done dirty, I'm always going to attract things that are based on that. When we think about the law of one, I'm always going to attract things based on that level. I'm always going to make that my reality. We get deep into this aspect when I talk about like use the aspect, the theory, like use this aspect. The person that you want in your life, whether it's man, woman, you want to get married, whatever it is, or the idea of family or the idea of whatever it is. A lot of times we limit ourselves in the aspects of states of provision. Not really providing, but provision. We don't think about nurturing, we think about enabling. So we want to keep feeding those certain aspects. But we're going to get deep into this out throughout the week. I'm looking right now at the Knave of Swords. The Knave of Swords represents somebody's going through that space. It's an opportunity. You are at an opportunity of assessment. You're in an opportunity right now of assessment. You're in an opportunity of you're in the opportunity of taking a new direction. I'm seeing the aspects of the new direction. This is an opportunity for you to take the first steps in the direction. Here's the thing about being the knave or being what stops you from usually taking that direction is you're looking at it as a jump or something that's needed to be done, and you're not looking at it as, you have to look at it as an opportunity. An opportunity for me to learn. The only thing that stops you from direction is the opportunity to fail. Accept the opportunity to fail. The opportunity to fail. That goes into the aspects of that King of Coins. That King of Coins is the acknowledgement. You know why. You know why it's time for you to take that new direction. You know why. You know the whys of, you know the pros and the cons. You know that the pros are outweighing the cons. You know that you've overstayed that space. You know that space has become a space of exploitation. It's not that what gets you stuck in taking a new direction in your life. What takes you out in taking that new direction in your life is accepting and acknowledging what you already knew. Is accepting and acknowledging what you already knew. That's what the high priest is about, is the acknowledgement of what you already knew. It is not that space became a space of high conflict, exploitation, it was toxic, it was a narcissist, it was those elements. No, it was already that. That's what you went there for. You went there for that. Because as soon as you went there, whatever that relation is, when you first went there, that's the first things that you talked about. You keep taking directions in spaces to where you can map it out. You can say, I don't love this, I don't need this, this person did this to me. You keep saying the same script. That's how everybody knows how to do it. The first thing that we have to understand in the aspects of coming into your balance in your works, your efforts, your actual skill set and your efforts. Your efforts, your actual efforts in your work, in changing and coming into balance. Remember this, and always remember this aspect. You don't find balance. You don't find balance. You don't find peace. You don't find shit. You don't find love. You don't find it. You become the elements that are unbiased of that aspect in your space. That means you become your definite. You already spent the years not dealing with your shadow, so you wanted to become this version of yourself. You wanted to become this version of yourself that you felt would give you the best love, that would help you attract love. You wanted to become this version of yourself that would help you attract motherfuckers not disrespecting you in that nature, in that narrative. But in reality, what did you were so stuck on acquiring. You were so stuck on the acquiring that when it came time for you to cut things out, you used that false sense of nobility. See, the thing that keeps knocking you off of your direction is you're trying to do it from a false sense of nobility. Because I love too hard. I love too hard. I love too hard, and I want somebody to love me like I love everybody else. Here goes the actual process. Everything that you're stating are noble attributes to your trauma. The same way that you go into a space under your noble attributes of your traumatic experiences, your unresolved, the things that you ain't dealing with, are the same reasons that you leave. The same way that you get it is the same way that you lose it. A lot of times we thought that meant like some aspect of like, oh my God, if I got a man through cheating or I got a chick, I was the side nigga, so then when I lose, I'm going to lose it to a side. No, it's emotional. This shit's energetic. It's the energetics. It's the energetic aspect principle. That's why you keep trying to look for the surface variable. It's the energetic principle. Oh my God, I'm tired of getting cheated on, and every relationship that I get in, I get cheated on. How are you cheating yourself? Energetically, how are you cheating yourself? Is it really cheating, or is it really is it really you have not dealt with your self-betrayal? See, when we get into when I'm getting into sessions with my clients, these are the things that we breaking down, because this gets us deeper down into the aspects of the surface. I can tell you all the shit. I can break down cosmos and all of that shit, but that's redundant if I'm not doing it. That's redundant if I'm not doing the internal work. All that shit's redundant if I'm not doing the internal work. All that shit's redundant. I can give you 1,000,001 fucking spells and intentions and how to set candles and shit, but it does you no good if you're not doing the internal work, if you're not doing the healing process. Because it goes like this in the aspects of being a child. We look at it, the Queen of Coins. I'm just using the coins to read the energy in the air. It goes to the Queen of Coins. There's things that you wanted when you was 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. That if something happened during a traumatic experience, you're still that 10-year-old. You still be that 10-year-old. You're still trying to nurture that 10-year-old. That's why every time that's why at the end of all the relationships, the job, wherever you at with yourself, you always feel slighted. You always feel slighted because you're no longer of the space that you're at. You no longer match the frequency. You're telling yourself, I'm no longer on this level. I'm no longer there. But at the same fucking time, you haven't done the work on the other end. You haven't done the work in the now. You got used to being in the past. I'm breaking this down. You got used to being in the past with yourself, and your past attributes and the things that you acquired, because now you got to accept that I was robbing my future self. Because now when I get to the future version of myself, i.e. now I'm in this position or in this position, now I got to pay for this shit. Because all you're doing is robbing your future self. You ran around being wild as fuck. Similar to how your mother did and how your dad did. I was young and dumb, and using that same speech. repeating the same damn speech. Repeating, you're going down the same buffet line. And then you get upset when that shit gets shaky. That's what's necessary to remove your ass out that buffet line. That goes into the aspects of that three of coins. It's time, your direction, this new direction is going into the aspects of learning yourself, of really getting deep into yourself, not the intellectual aspect. A lot of times we looking inside of spaces, we get stuck on defining the intellectual concept of ourselves. That means you woke up similar to you went on WebMD. You went on WebMD. You feel what I'm saying? You went on WebMD. It was like, okay, I feel this, and this. See how you did all the senses? I did this. Okay. That means it must be this. That's what you've been doing your entire life. You never learned it past that point. A lot of times we keep going, I was going into spaces, I didn't learn how to eat past a certain point. I just thought, okay, cool, when I'm not hungry, I'm not hungry. I didn't look at what the fuck I was feeding. It wasn't, when we get into that, we get deep into this, learning the aspects of yourself, of how you're feeding and how you're eating. Why food doesn't taste the same anymore. Remember, this entire time we talking about eating with your emotions. That means if all you ever ate was Taco Bell in survival mode, or ate hamburgers or McDonald's or whatever you ate, it isn't because it's not real. Of course it's not real. It's condensed light into the spectrum. It's the emotions that went with it that you're not feeling anymore. So if you eat a burger, use an example, you eat a burger, and now you don't like the way it tastes, or it makes you feel sad, you feel sad or upset, so to speak. You feel despair because you can't taste the burger the way you used to. It's those emotions coming to the surface. That's why it tastes weird. That's why it tastes the way it tastes, because you're no longer feeding those emotions. And the deeper that you go into it, the more you can evolve through that space. But exactly. As long as I'm reliving, the way I always put it, if I'm always reliving my past, and I'm always living in the aspects of my past, or I'm living too much in my future sense, I'm robbing my future. As long as I'm living in my past, I'm robbing my future. I'm robbing my future. Think about what you're doing. Think about the whole process of you being down here is to collect the information so when you go to the next space, it's already built. That's how you built this space. That's how you built all this. All of this is the reflex of that thought. Looking at it from just your current life cycle, if by now, I remember someone asked me the question like, what did you want to do when you grew up? I'm doing it now. Everything that I wanted to do when I was growing up, I'm doing now. Because I'm eating differently. This requires an entirely different appetite. To match my drive. Because you have to understand that process requires a different appetite. That means I have a different taste, a different palate for things. We go into that. We're gonna go deeper into that tomorrow. Thursday. I don't know if y'all got Facebook, but Thursday I might make a link. I might create a link or create a promotional thing for over here. But on Facebook, my Facebook Live from Godico Alchemist, my Godico Alchemist page, I'm gonna be getting deeper into the aspects of the emotional transits. See, I wanted to get into emotional authority today because Thursday we're going to get into the emotional transit. The power of the no and the power of the yes being the same and things of that nature. But I desire you to be the fucking best. Today and tomorrow are the only, in the last 2 days, the first and the only 2 days that you can sign up for the new class that I'm dropping August 8th, next Monday, Chakra and Shadow, for $45. hit me in the inbox, hit me in the DM, hit me in the inbox to get signed up for more information about chakra and shadow, the new class. Getting into the aspects of all of the chakras as above, the Great Sun, Christ Consciousness, Intergalactic Gateway, Intergalactic Gateway, Stellar Gateway, Seat of the Soul, the lower chakras, the Earth Star, the Dolphin Matrix, which is this matrix, the Earth's inner cities, that's where all your ancestors dwell, the Whale Matrix, in the heart of Mother Earth, and then how they connect to the inner chakras from the crown to the root. Plus, we're getting into human design and aspects of reflexology. It's going to be it's a 6-week class. It's a 6-week class. That means every Monday, around this same time, every Monday, we're going to be getting into that aspect, getting into those aspects for the next 6 weeks. $45 these 2 days, today, as in Wednesday, as in Tuesday, and tomorrow, as in Wednesday, are the only days that I'll be taking in registration at that price. After that, I'm shutting it down so I can actually finish doing the aspects of the class. $45. Hit me in the inbox. All other services, from readings, consultations, any of my other all my services, you want to do a one-on-one guidance call, nice little guidance and break some shit down, all the way up to you can have a session with me a month. One payment, yep. One payment, $45. One payment of $45, yeah, one payment of $45. One payment of $45. One payment, that's it. The original aspect of the course was $100. It was $100 for my new student. It was $100 for my active clients and active students, and it was $175 for new students. Me, I woke up this morning, Spirit was like, yo, drop a make $45 for people. All right, cool. So $45, one payment. You can hit me in the DM, hit me in the inbox. We can create that dialogue. I'll break down. Give me an email. I'll send you the email of what we're going through in class. Week 1 is going to be the introduction. Week 2 and 3 are going to be all about chakras and all that chakras and all the integrations of that aspect. Week 4 and 5 are going to be the human design, manifested generator, reflective, those aspects. And the last week, we're going to go into the aspects of reflexes and mudras. Because a lot of times, you doing all this twisty shit with your fingers, and you don't understand what each one of these fingers actually even fucking mean. Think about this. How can I do this mudra? How can I do this and not know what 3 fingers that are touching mean? If I don't understand that my fingers are my thumbs are my will. Authority, and maintain. So I think about I got the authority, will, autonomous. That's why you can do things with your thumbs, because you have the will to grab things. But if I don't understand this process and how these come together on that level, on that psychic, on that level, how do I know what energy I'm using? I can do this all day and visualize lightning bolts and strikes and things of that nature, but if I don't really understand the science behind myself and how it works with myself, I won't know when it's coming up, when it's actually coming up. If I do this in my entire life, because most of us came through that era where this is a sign of the Illuminati. But in reality, this is the mudra for absorbing and absolving all energy and seeing things. This is why when you look through it, what do you see? This is an actual mudra, bringing these energies together. I do this every single morning when I'm sitting there like this, and I'm literally I'm acquiring all the energy. Or if I'm doing this, it's the devil hands. No, this is the Apana mudra. This mudra, literally, if I sit here for 30 minutes it takes the cycle and it helps me absorb all energy and assesses the energy in my body. This is also for digestion. If I sit like this for 30 minutes touching these fingers, knowing what these fingers mean, and I know what they're rooted to, so if I'm sitting in this space and I know it's rooted to my root chakra, and I know how they define, if I have lower back pain, use an example. If I have lower back pain, I got lower back pain going on, then my lower back pain, the lower back pain is accredited to the aspects of financial or energetic loss, energy loss, confidence and money issues. So if I'm sitting like this and I have a lot of gas built up in my system of what I ate, what emotions was I feeding? You see how it goes full circle? But if I don't understand these aspects, how can I work with my energy? If I don't understand these aspects, how can I work with my energy? How can I grow? How can I develop? How can I evolve anything? But I digress, because we're going to get deep into that starting next week, next Monday. I appreciate y'all for stopping through. If you just stopped through, it's all right. It's okay. Hit me up in the inbox. Hit me in the inbox. Hit me in the join the email list on the website. If you missed this video, don't even worry about you missed it. You didn't miss anything, because later out throughout the week, this video will be on my YouTube channel, Got a Code Alchemist LLC. You can catch the video we did last week, as long as all the other lives. Everything's available to you as you need it. Everything's available to you as it is necessary, as you desire, to the aspects of your fucking growth. Understanding that healing is destructive, you are deserving but you are not entitled, and this level of honesty is going to force you into that state of transparency so you actually can start planting those seeds. I can't plant seeds on the concrete. The shit don't grow. I love you. We love us. Ashe.